You are now tuned in to Papi Chulo Radio, your web portal for the best in pop culture news and interviews.
Don't kiss me yet, unless it's just a cousin kiss.
This is a Papi Chulo Radio special announcement. PapiChuloRadio.com is currently looking to expand its web presence, and we're looking for your help. If you're a fan of Papi Chulo Radio and its signature series, please visit GoFundMe.com/PapiChuloRadio and help us with our campaign. Every dollar amount donated will be improving the Papi Chulo Radio experience and making it more interactive and user-friendly. We thank you in advance for your support. This has been a Papi Chulo Radio special announcement. We now return you to our regularly scheduled programming. The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Summer Camp, a PapiChuloRadio.com and iTunes exclusive Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. I'm your host and camp director, Maurice Gatewood. Tonight on Summer Camp, we're going to explore some of Hollywood's campiest flicks, cult classic motion pictures, and fan favorite films. Please welcome my co-hosts, the hip-hop legend and our assistant director, Dead Lee.
What up, what up, what up?
Guten Tag.
I see no manhood between your legs.
Was that aimed at me? Damn, I'm like, the hip hop legend. And he's like, you have no dick. Like, dang. And our director of residential life, the man from the future, Legionnaire, Guten Tag.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? Our first aid director, the one we call The Voice. What's up, Damien Nova?
Niner Luftballons. Auf ihrem Weg zum Horizon. Heilt man für UFOs aus dem All darum scheikte ein General. Hi.
Ach, du Lieber.
Hi. Is that in the budget? Because we know you get paid to sing, so shout out for Papi.
You get a verse.
All right. And our activity leader, the artist of deviant art herself, Vanetta Berry. What's up, Vanetta?
Hey, y'all. All I got is revenge. That's all I can live for.
Well, if you gotta live for something.
Yeah, it's good.
And serving up hot, delicious strudel tonight, we have our head chef, Derek Anthony.
They gave me syphilis.
Well, at least you got something. At least they gave you something.
Yes, at least I walked away with the booby prize. Hello, everybody.
Yes. And now we all know where Sean Spicer learned about the Holocaust from. But before we begin, here's one of our campers on our PA system with a few announcements on how you can interact with us via social media.
Thank you for the intro, and sorry for the microphone feedback. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PCR Summercamp. Follow us on Tumblr, summercamp-pcr.tumblr.com. Follow Papi Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube at Papi Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@papichuloradio.com. Help support Poppy Chula Radio financially by visiting GoFundMe.com/PoppyChulaRadio. Help support Poppy Chula Radio financially by visiting GoFundMe.com/PoppyChulaRadio. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Poppy Chula Radio Summer Camp and subscribe. Now, grab some popcorn and some snacks. It's time for your feature presentation. Back to you, camp counselors. Oh, not again. Sorry for the feedback.
Thank you. All right, it's time to fire up the film projector so that we can discuss 1975's Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Here's the official synopsis of the film. Ilsa is commandant of a Nazi prison camp who conducts sadistic scientific experiments designed to demonstrate that women are more capable of enduring pain than men are, and therefore should be allowed to fight in the German armed forces. It is late in the war, and the Nazi military is in dire need of reinforcements. Ilsa is also portrayed as a buxom woman with a voracious sexual appetite for men. Every night she chooses another of her male prisoners and rapes him. However, owing to her hypersexuality, she is disappointed and her current victim eventually ejaculates. And promptly, she has him castrated and put to death. Only one American prisoner who can avoid ejaculating manages to use her weakness to his favor. He hopes that the Allies will arrive soon, but a faction of the SS wants to eliminate all evidence and witnesses.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole story.
You know,
we done.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
That synopsis was from Wikipedia, and it still had some weird grammar in it. I had to do a little pirouette around a couple little parts there. I'm like, come on, Wikipedia. One minute they saying Sinbad is dead, the next minute they putting up janky plots. Okay, so I'm gonna go down the list. We're gonna do this like a lightning round, and who has seen it and who has not. Let's start with you, Damien, because I think you were the one that recommended this movie, so we know you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen them all of them.
All right, Legionnaire.
Wait, there's more?
There's 3 more.
Yes, 3 more.
It's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah.
God help us.
Legionnaire.
No.
Derek.
Had no idea it existed.
Deadly.
First time I saw it, but I thought it was Wunderbar.
Wunderbar. And Fräulein Vanetta.
No, never seen it. Very disturbed.
She was like 9. 9. Okay. So let's dive into this one. This was a movie. It was. And
it was made. It was from film. It was
don't do that.
It was not. And as I stated earlier, I think this is where Sean Spicer learned about the Holocaust from.
So many Republicans probably learned about the Holocaust from Ilsa.
So obviously, okay, was this movie billed as a horror?
It's a thriller.
A thriller.
It's really, I mean, it's the 70s, so a lot of them were just billed as movies. But it was more, it's an exploitation film, definitely. But we didn't recognize most of those 70s movies as exploitation films until later. So it was definitely just a thriller, I guess, because it's hyper violent. Yeah. But it's definitely more of a thriller, a revenge movie, I guess.
Would you call it an erotic thriller? Is that what it's supposed to be?
No, see, that didn't exist in the 70s. Everything was erotic. Everything was erotic in the 70s. So I don't think, unless it was porn, like straight up XXX porn, it was just a thriller.
Well, this movie kind of reminded me of porn, just without the close-ups of the genitals.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a porn with stuff cut out.
There was a lot of breasts.
There was a lot of titties.
Lots of titties.
And I was thinking about Vanetta.
Right.
I was thinking about Vanetta because some of the other movies we've seen where there's nudity, they've kind of like, there was a little something for everybody. But I'm like, I know Vanetta was like, okay.
I love titties. I'm great with titties. But the problem was, it's just like white titties.
Fila buste.
It was all...
I thought about Vanetta while I was watching this. I was like, what is she doing with her children while this is on?
It was very awkward.
I know it was very awkward. I caught myself watching this, and my daughter is here for spring break.
See.
And I'm like, she's wandering into the office, and I'm like, oh my good Lord, sweetie, why don't you go and like stay downstairs watching TV?
Yeah, mine are teenagers, and they were like, what are you watching? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that one scene where she's like moaning like crazy, and my daughter's like, Dad, what? No. We're not talking about that. You're going downstairs. Thank you.
She's
well, mine are teenagers, so it's really...
She went from the SS?
Mine is, she's 14.
Okay, so mine was just like, my daughter's like, oh God, whatever, you're watching something weird again. It's for your podcast, right? And my son was like,
sure, for your podcast.
What is this, and when was this made? This sounds crazy, Mom. I was like, don't worry about it, you cannot get it anywhere. Like, I'm not paying for you to get this movie. He's like trying to figure out how he can download it, I think. So
just tell him he can do what he can do what
it's on YouTube.
And watch it
on YouTube.
Don't say that. Edit that out, Poppy.
Right.
Edit that out, please.
Don't speak that into the ether.
Because I had all kinds of technical difficulties trying to watch when I downloaded it. I put it on my tablet so I can watch it on the go, But it's the audio, the audio wasn't compatible with it, so I'm like scrambling. What can I watch this? I'm on Hulu, I'm on Netflix, I'm on. And I said, let me try YouTube, and bingo, there it was. Free titties.
I think for future reference, anything that was said in the 70s on this show, you should probably just watch under a sheet on your phone, just because the 70s was an interesting it was an interesting dark period in exploitation film. So you might want to.
It was an interesting time though, but this movie, okay, oddly enough, had a sort of, I guess I want to say girl power theme to it, but then it was mixed with Nazis and
yeah.
So the protagonist, I guess, is Ilsa, and what were the two prisoners' names? Wasn't there somebody Rosette?
Rosette and Anna. Anna was the one that didn't feel pain.
Who was that? Anna?
Anna, yeah.
Anna was fab. Anna just.
Kara got syphilis. That's all I know.
Oh, and it got worse. It got worse, but
yeah.
She had leprosy.
Oh my God.
Kara was gangster at the end, though. She was no holds barred.
She was like, I'm not leaving until I kill these fools.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, all right, peace out to y'all, because that's not what I'm here for. Trying to make it out of here.
So there's Kata and Anna,
Ingrid,
Woof,
Gretchen,
Ilsa.
She was so angry with him for being American. That's not his fault.
Right.
You exhibit Germanness. Like,
You are blonde.
He was
She
so
was like-
cocky with it.
Yeah.
Ilsa was very hostile.
Ilsa.
Because she was sexually unsatisfied.
I know the feeling.
Uncle Wolf handled
sorry.
it though.
He
Oh,
did.
where did that come from? Let's go back. What?
Nope, that's okay.
You know what it feels like to be a Nazi general and
No, sexually
sexually
unsatisfied. Yeah,
unsatisfied.
not the general part. It's just the
She
sexually
knows. She
unsatisfied.
knows what it's like to be a Fraulein and not having.
Right.
You know.
It to be a
So-
fly on the
Castrate
wall
me.
in your house. Yeah, to be a fly on the wall. I wonder what the women actually go through. Yikes.
I
like
love the
the
Harry
girls.
Bushes. Harry
I love them
Bushes
too,
rule.
but they shaved that one girl.
Yeah,
And
but
they didn't
bothered me
shave
when
nobody
they
else.
shaved them. I
Yeah.
love Harry Bushes.
So this is gonna sound very, very bizarre, and you guys are probably gonna be like, "What?" But when they were doing that to her, because of the other person they were torturing and cutting people, I thought they were gonna try to do like some genital mutilation on her. You know, I was like, are
They
they,
did enough of that in this film, so I guess they said, you know what, we need to slow down.
right? I thought that's what they were planning on doing to her. Like,
Mhm.
No, they just
Not-
basically
I don't
They were
think
getting
they
her
were
ready.
Yeah, I
They
don't
were
think they
getting
were
ready.
planning on doing it to her at that point. She was
Yeah.
still being processed.
Yeah. So
wanna
many of
say
them
that
were
this
just
was
used for
very-
sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. This show was very rapey.
Oh
So
Yeah.
much
God.
rapiness.
Yeah.
it
I was
It's a
like
rapey- it's a
really
rapey episode.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, well, damn, there goes another and another. Wait, damn, they getting raped left and right. It's just like
Yeah.
that's the pastime. Germans raping.
the way it was presented, though. I mean, there were definitely parts of it that were very fetishy, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And but then there would be like, I mean, there are people who are into blood also, you know. There are people who
Sure.
flag blood, but the way they would do it, it was just like, okay, so is the nudity in this part supposed to be sensual or somehow sexual? Because when you're ripping people's toenails out, I don't think seeing titties is gonna make it any less, you know. It was,
Yeah, it was.
It's-
it was just bizarre.
It felt like it
That's
was part of the
like while you're
demeaning
eating.
aspect of it.
Yeah, it was not sexy.
So my question is to Damien Nova. My next question is: at what point in your life did you see this movie the first time?
Let's see. I was 19 when I saw the first one. No, that's not true. I saw the second one first. And then I was like, I gotta see the first one. And then I had to go back and see The Sadistic Hypnotist, which is actually what Ilsa is based off of. The Sadistic Hypnotist came out in 1969, and it's called. It has another title called Wanda, the Sadistic Hypnotist,
I
which
think
is sort of the sort of the same movie, but without the Nazi part. But I saw it, and I don't know. I guess it was one of those things. I've always been obsessed with 70s film. So, and I love revenge film, and I love 70s exploitation film. So it just appeals to. This is in my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like this is
Right.
this is the kind of shit that I enjoy. But the funny thing is that like there's so many films that came out around this time that have extreme and long rape scenes. And I don't think they were doing it. I think maybe at first they were doing it maybe for shock value, but then after a while, I think they were like, well, come to the theater, see a woman get raped. It's horrible. Come see it, you know. And it was,
Right.
it has a lot of that. The funny thing is that this is the only one out of the trilogy that is this rapey.
Well, I mean, you know, it's funny because they tried to sort of introduce like real facts from history interjected into this crazy.
Mhm.
Like some of the shit that they were doing that Nazis really did, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Well, she's
they-
actually based off a real person. They were. I mean, it was. Well, I mean, come on. It's only you can pretty much say anything about the Nazis, and it probably that probably did happen because they did a lot of stuff. But the thing is that this is actually based on a real person. She had a base, and she was doing experiments on people, on women specifically, and like testing Jews' limits, their physical limits. Now, I don't know about the whole sexual part and her walking around with her breast out every time she had a chance, but this is based on a real person. Now, it's fictionalized, of course. We don't know what the hell happened,
Right.
but it is actually based off a real person, which is why they say it at the beginning. It's like, okay, it's based off a real person. However, this ain't real necessarily. You know, sort of a roundabout way.
I can't think of a time in history, though, when people who have been oppressed or exploited have not also been sexually oppressed. And exploited. I mean, it's never happened where that hasn't happened. I'm not saying it happened this way, but, you know, I can't imagine that that people weren't sexually exploited, you know.
Yeah. But you know what was cool seeing? Well, not necessarily cool, but just seeing that women in power were just as evil as men. You know, that made it look that way. I mean, there's a different point of view of it. I like seeing that. Because, you know, I really believe that. I think if women were in power, they might just be just as evil.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the doctor that they based this woman off of was a monster. I mean, she was a monster. Like the stuff that she did. And when they came to visit her, when the Third Reich came to visit her, they shut her down. Now there's a whole lot of this movie that's I mean, 90.8% of it is inaccurate, but it's like that when they actually came to visit her, it wasn't a guy saying, "Ooh, I want you to pee on me." They were like, "What are you doing? You know, this is not how we do things. Like, just burn them." You know, and that's what they did. They burned everybody that was there, and they left no evidence behind of her atrocities. There wasn't we're going to escape, and the one that's being raped all the time is going around killing everybody she absolutely can. That didn't happen, but it was I'm not saying that it couldn't have, but she was a monster at the end of the day. And exploitation always has a tendency to try to glorify that's the sort of the fascinating thing about 70s movies, is that they glorified a lot of atrocities. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is another one, you know. It's just a lot of them that they glorify revenge, and it's like that's not really how the world works, but okay. You know.
Well, I mean, it in the sense that, you know, were they trying to make this character somehow? There were times where it seemed like they were almost trying to make her a sympathetic character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no. You know.
I think it showed, like, especially when he came and he was like, okay, and he started ordering her around and telling her what he wanted her to do, you know, to him sexually and everything. You saw that she was just another cog in the machine, and she had about as much control as the people that were there, but she used the little power that she did have to dominate everyone that was there. And that's what this movie is. It's a dominatrix film. It's not so much a woman empowerment film. It's more of a dominatrix, but I'm still a weak woman when I need, you know, because I'm not really in power here. So I'm still a weak woman, and blah, blah. It's really shitty.
I'm strong, but I'm still weak to my sexual appetites. Yeah. So I'll always have that. I'll always have that weakness. The man's penis will always be stronger than me. No, you know,
how come they didn't show no penis? I didn't see no damn penis.
No, they showed
his little penis one time.
Yeah, there was some penis.
So
it wasn't not enough.
No,
if you blinked, you would have missed it. It wasn't.
Yeah. I think he was just laying on his side on the.
Well, he was standing up at first, and you got a full frontal, and it was like, oh, that's unfortunate. And then he laid down. It was like, oh, it gets more unfortunate.
Was it Wolf or the first guy?
The second guy, the guy who ended up dominating her.
The first guy. When he was laying on the table, the first guy.
Oh yeah. At the beginning of the movie, yeah.
Yeah, but so
not nearly as much penis as boob, though. I mean, that's the boob to penis ratio. Actually, the vagina to penis ratio is uneven, to say the least.
There was a lot of titties in this movie. I mean, and to the point
enough to make you thirsty, right?
It depends on whose they were.
I don't drink milk.
Yeah, it depends on who they were. But for the most part, they looked natural.
So amused. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were very natural.
They were very natural. Which in movies now, and I don't even mean just in porn, but in regular movies now, when you see normal, real breasts, it's like, wow, they don't always look exactly the same.
Wobble to and fro, yeah.
And they don't always point in the same direction, and they don't always, they don't always hold your chin up, the way fake boobs, the way. So that part of it was aesthetically nice to see, sort of natural bodies. When you see movies from the 70s and you see nudity, you just tend to see people how human bodies naturally look. As far as the American, did you think he was gonna be the one that was gonna sort of? Because they show the guys, right? Mm-hmm. They panned across these random guys, and there were these two really good-looking dark-haired guys, right. And then they panned past that little, what's his name? Mario, was his name Mario?
Yeah, Mario.
Mario, and then they got to the American. I thought it was going to be one of the other two guys that would have, but I guess they were just random extras in the movie. And then so this skinny American guy becomes can we call him a hero? What was he? He was
the hero.
Yeah, it's probably as good as.
He was the distraction.
Yeah, but I thought he was kind of a distraction. But the other two girls, I felt like they were more heroic than he was.
The women in this movie are the heroes. That's sort of the point. Is that they're supposed to be because the men are just fodder. They're just okay. Well, that happened, but the women are supposed to be the ones because they focus on the women a lot more than they do on the men, and there's a reason for that because we're supposed to sympathize with all of the women in this movie, and or empathize rather with all of the women in this movie, and we do by the end of it, but they focus so much on Ilsa that she's not just a villain in it. She's the central character of the entire movie. It's not like it's about one of the prisoners. It's about her. So it's sort of hard to tell who the hell is supposed to be the actual hero in this movie.
The common misconception that people have with stories like novels and movies too is that they assume that a protagonist means the good person and the antagonist means the bad person, but that's not true. Right. Ilsa was the protagonist in this movie.
Yeah.
And the antagonist was, I guess we could call him the American or whatever, and the other, and the other
everybody else.
But I mean, isn't that pretty well documented that women can handle more pain than men? I mean, that's something that's scientifically been proven, right?
I don't like.
I need receipts.
I mean, you don't like it. You don't like it, but well, every time somebody pushes a baby out of their cooch, that's a receipt right there. I'm not.
That's a receipt.
I can't argue
with
that.
You didn't have no babies yet.
That's a receipt, yes.
I can't believe you didn't have no babies yet.
So I can't imagine a baby coming in from anywhere in that region at all.
And there are people who argue, oh, well, a woman's body prepares itself for that. I'm like, give me a break,
Look, I have a friend who had a baby, and I was in hospital with her when she was just having contractions. And yeah, okay, your body prepares you. Her body didn't shut her pain receptors down.
Right,
so
right.
Not at all.
So they claim to have proven that women can multitask better than men. So, I don't know if this movie was.
They say a whole bunch of shit.
A lot of it I think depends on the individual, of course. I think because women have to. I think since women have to endure so much bullshit, people will naturally assume that they can put up with all the shit they put up with, that they must be stronger,
Yeah.
Then if then black women must have no pain at all. They must not be able to feel anything.
Well, that's a whole other discussion.
If we're gonna go by that theory, but. Okay, this is going to be an odd question. Did anyone have a favorite character?
I like Wolf. I did like the American.
You liked him?
Cool. I did. There's something about him I liked.
Yeah, he was that swag. He had that little swag.
He did have that swag, and then just even when he was tying her up, I liked that when he was tying her up towards the end, and just like, all right, we got you here. You want to feel good, right? He just played her. He knew how to play her the whole damn time. And that was just badass that he could just hold out. He was no 2-minute man. He was like a 2-hour man.
Yeah. Listen, I love vagina. And I can imagine someone writing me in that manner for that long without you getting pregnant at least 3 times. I mean,
right.
She was in like if a woman was writing me like that, the way she was in, no, you would be on the ceiling, like plastered with semen. Like it would not be like there's no. He was. It's almost like he disconnected from his body. Like he
was a freak of nature, is what he said.
I have a friend like that.
What was that?
It's really fun. I said I have a friend that's like that, and he really does go to a different place, and he has lots of stamina, and it's really fun. And I invite all of my other friends, like, hey, you need that itch? Call him.
What? Oh,
seriously.
She pimping
Come on,
him out,
she hate me.
She pimping him out.
I know.
I love her so much.
I know these boys are not clutching their pearls. What? What?
Not everybody has had that experience, so I think
I love my Vanetta so much, and
just saying.
There is nothing I can say to any of that.
Legionnaire's like, I'm silent.
Legionnaire.
Right, we can edit that part out too. We can edit that part.
No.
The only thing Poppy edits out is the silences. And Poppy's back there kicking.
Yeah, we'll hear about this later.
Wunderbar.
So what did you think of that? Did you want to see more of the male prisoners?
No.
Not need all that.
No.
I was sad
I think
that
more
we got to see
of them.
so much of the drunken people. I didn't want to see any more of them.
Oh yeah,
right.
with the rape scene, yeah.
They
were like really nasty looking.
Yes.
Yeah.
They looked real. They looked rough. They didn't look like soldiers. You know what I mean? They didn't look, like typically in movies. If you ever notice, when they cast Nazis, I know it sounds terrible, but they usually cast very tall, good-looking, blonde-haired guys. And these guys they look like, I don't know what they look like.
Well, I mean, speaking from Eastern European, from an Eastern European stance, that's sort of what they look like. And I remember like seeing like the movies and everything, and I was like, they're awfully beautiful to be Nazis. But when you're stationed in the middle of nowhere, working for a crazy woman that's raping men and torturing women, that's how you look. That's how you look.
Well,
you don't look.
Camp, they probably weren't getting the cream of the crop of the soldiers anyway.
Right. She probably got a bunch of crap soldiers. They probably didn't have the best conditions to wash in, to do any of that in. Not that they needed it, fuck them. But it's like, that's what they probably looked like. Actually, like that was probably one of the more accurate parts. The way they looked, actually, like it was like, yeah, that's probably how they probably would look all dirty, and they probably smell like cum and piss and.
Ew.
Lord.
Way too much detail in that description.
So they smell like a sex park, is what you're saying.
Like a cum dumpster.
The smell of semen in urine.
Cum dumpster part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a movie too that we're going to be watching soon, Poppy? Because I don't know if I can handle it.
Cum dumpster is like 20 movies. Okay.
It is.
Yeah, it's a genre. It's not a movie.
Cum dumpster part 3.
It's a genre.
It's a subgenre. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a subgenre. Yeah. Oh Lord. This oh gosh. So let's talk some technical aspects. Look, we could talk about titties. We could talk about Holocaust centers, or as our Sean Spicer would call them. But let's talk about some of the practical effects, like as if there was CGI in this. Let's talk about some of the effects.
How about that orange blood?
That was disturbing me so much.
It was great.
Like French dressing.
So thick.
It's so 60s.
So
it's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Did you not have the right color?
Dressing is exactly what it was like.
Right. It looks like a combination of French and Russian
paint.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. Like, it was like watered down ketchup. Yeah. So good. It was so good.
It was red paint. It was just horrible red paint.
I could have been okay with that.
What about when the one chubby guy, when they slit his neck?
Right.
They went everywhere.
And that was
so odd. It just looks so odd. I was just like,
because the appliance was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just so. And then there was a one scene. Now, what did you think of the burn? Like her burns, like when they burnt.
Horrible.
Yeah. When they were putting her in the hot, did you think that looked kind of convincing, or too much, or?
It was too much.
Yeah.
It was like, I think it. In my head, if you're in a vat of boiling water, not. And you're still there. It's more pussy. It's more red. It's bubbly. It's when you cook meat and you boil it. It doesn't do that. Like it's still meat.
It looked
that was my problem.
It looked like she had dried blood on her when she was coming out of the tub, like out of the vat.
Yeah.
Like it's like blood wouldn't dry on you. It would be raw. It would be raw. She would have been pink looking. But she looked tore up though.
Right.
She did look bad.
Well, let's be real. If anybody was burned that badly, they wouldn't have walked through the door like, "Hey y'all." They would have been very dead or dying.
Well, she wasn't like, hey, you know.
She might as well have been.
She did get to the bed and then was like, that was enough.
Yeah. Like, let me get through the door, say hi.
Such a letdown.
And then I'm gonna die on top of you.
And then die.
Right.
Then die.
With the big ass knife. Couldn't you have just like held the knife out and then fell on her with the knife sticking? That was just like so anticlimactic. You know, she comes through the door like a zombie. It was very Nazi zombie moment.
I think that was the point, that everything that happened in that bed was anticlimactic.
Yeah. But that was Ilsa's theme, huh?
Yeah.
So, Deadly, you've been a little quiet.
I haven't.
I said, you've been a little quiet. Was there anything?
I love the movie, though. I really love the movie. You know, I didn't think I was going to love it because I hated shows like MASH and Hogan's Heroes. I just hated, and anything to do with Hitler stuff, it just bugged me.
You hated MASH?
Okay, wait a minute. This is a moment. Wait, y'all. I can bond with Deadly. He won't tell me to shut the fuck up anymore. Wait. You know how Deadly's always told me, stop talking. That's not true. Shut the fuck up. Wait. I didn't like MASH either.
See, we're bonding here.
I did. You know why I didn't like? Because 1 minute it was supposed to be funny, then it was serious. It was just like, you know, I didn't.
Yeah, the tone was all over the place.
Yeah, it was.
But I did read on the Wikipedia that this was filmed on the Hogan's Heroes lot.
Hogan's Heroes, yep.
But Hogan's Heroes, I kind of watched that a little bit. It was weird too.
See, I didn't like Hogan's Heroes.
The guy that
that was bad.
Hogan's Heroes, he was like fetishy. Something, didn't he? He was into like some kinky stuff. No,
that little eye thing.
Yeah, Bob Crane.
Yeah, Bob Crane. But did he die doing something fetishy?
Didn't he? I think there was something like that.
Yeah.
Google that. He did. Yeah. I think he was a freaking dead.
Yeah.
But no, I dug this movie. The lead actress was so good. I was just like transfixed on her. I hated her, but I liked her. I'm like, oh my god, there's something about her. She was seducing me at one time. I'm like, oh man, she's seducing me. What the heck? I think I want to be seduced by her.
Them big milk jugs in your face.
And then when she was even like kind of licking, the dildo before she put that vibrator up the girl, she was just kind of looking at it, almost licking it. I'm like,
okay,
girl.
Right.
She was caressing it.
So we know to get you an electric dildo for Christmas.
Okay.
Oh my goodness!
All right.
She definitely carried this movie. Okay, She carried this movie. I mean, some of the other characters, they had their little part. Poor Mario, though. I felt bad for Mario.
But hey, you know what I realized? Okay, we've done L.A. Zombie. That's a Bruce LaBruce movie. He's done a couple other movies like Raspberry Reich, a couple others, which are very similar to this. So now I see where he got his inspiration from. And then to find out, like, this is a Canadian filmmaker too. So Bruce LaBruce is Canadian. So I'm like, oh, he just copied this, but made it like a little more gay.
Well, they said this movie has. They said this movie has influenced other movies.
Yeah.
And that there were scenes in other movies where the characters were supposed to look like her. And you know, the other people in the movie. So, you know, it's just this thing, though. You know, it's such a touchy subject. You know, concentration camps and what happened during that time, that I guess the movie wasn't big enough to cause that much of an outrage at the time.
No.
Which is something else that I read about it. And I think the 70s, above all else, the 70s were a very non-apologetic time too.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of outrages like we do now.
Because it was right after the civil rights movement. If you look at a lot of TVs and movies and stuff was kind of more multicultural for a while. Then the 80s sort of started to drift back into the 50s a little bit, when the Reagans came in. But during the 70s, it was kind of like, we're going to do whatever. We're going to do what we want, But I don't think something like this could work now. It would be definitely made into a comedy, and it would definitely not be as sexual, I don't think, and it would, it would be made into more of a farce.
I think the closest one is Dead Snow. Maybe Dead Snow is probably the one that's closest to something like this, and Dead Snow was a Nazi zombie film, and there's been a couple of them, and that came out like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. So yeah, no, I mean, people are too scary to do anything like this now. You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't even get the funding to do anything unless it was Quentin Tarantino, and then right. It would definitely be done, or the other one, his buddy Rodriguez. But yeah, no, I mean, it's so funny because that was a touchy subject, and slavery was such a touchy subject in the 70s that it seemed like 70s filmmakers wanted to make the movies that were going to be like, okay, we're going to offend a couple people, and that really was all it did in the 70s. Like, you offended maybe 5 people, and they went out and picketed your movie. And then they went home. It was like, it was pretty much it. But, like, sort of Mandingo. Didn't they picket Mandingo and a couple of black mama, white mama? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a couple of them in the 70s that were like that. Shaka Zulu came out in the 90s. I don't think anybody was really mad at Shaka Zulu. I wasn't. That was a great movie.
Was that the 90s or that?
That was the 90s. That was the 90s.
I know that they've done studies that show that slave movies actually make white people feel better.
Yes.
Because to them, they can see such a drastic difference than how black people live now as opposed to how they live then.
Yeah.
Don't get me.
Yeah, I love it. This is why my theory about why 12 Years a Slave got so many accolades and Fruitvale Station did not.
Oh Lord.
When you can look at something that looks like what looks like now, it kind of makes you. It's kind of more in your face than looking at something that took place hundreds of years ago.
So that wasn't
me. That was my great grandfather.
That wasn't us.
Right.
And the people of Fruitvale Station, it's here, but we don't really know those people.
Right.
And something must have happened to cause them to act that way.
Yes.
Yeah. But making a sort of sex rompy Nazi movie in the 70s. I did watch something recently that was made in the 2000s that had like Nazis. Was it Nazis on the Moon or something? What was it called? Was it called Iron Sky? I think it was called Iron Sky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like a sci-fi Nazi movie.
Yeah.
But they're not Nazis per se. Like, they're not Third Reich Nazis. Yeah, so it's like
Nazis. Yeah, they weren't practicing Nazis.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't Aryan Nazi. It's a terrible movie, but they're not like Aryan Nazis, but they were dressed like Nazis. They acted like Nazis, but it wasn't like they were walking around saying Heil Hitler. So
they were.
But it's a Nazi film. It is. It's a Nazi sci-fi film, and they don't want to call it.
But it's definitely made to be spoofy. It's definitely made to be spoofy and funny. Yeah. And of course, one of the characters realizes the error of their ways, and but that's the closest thing I could see.
Outpost is another one. Outpost came out in 2007, 2008, something like that. And it's another Nazi. The American goes over and kills all the Nazi zombies movie, and it's really stupid. But I like this film, so what can I say? I have no right to call anything stupid.
Here.
I'm trying to see if I recognize any of these people's names. I guess they were all primarily Canadian actors, maybe.
Buck Flower, I think, is probably the only one that's, because Buck Flower's in this under a pseudonym, I think.
Okay.
I think he's like her assistant. He's like one of the he's like the guy assistant to her.
The little mousy doctor.
Yeah, but he's been in a lot of stuff, like a whole lot of stuff. But Buck Flower is like legendary. But he, I think he did this under a pseudonym because he didn't want people to know he was in this movie.
Don't blame him.
He just had a few bills he needed to pay.
Basically. A bill.
So this movie actually has a 5.2 rating on IMDb. Does that surprise anyone?
Yeah, I thought it would be higher.
What's the top
This
score?
movie has a huge cult following. It's not. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it has a huge cult following. There are movies way worse than this with higher ratings.
Well, I think the IMDb sort of voting body or whatever, I think they are more mainstream film type people.
No.
You know,
what's the highest score you can get on IMDb?
I think a 10.
10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I voted on weird shit on IMDb and put my own stars on there.
Okay, so a little more than half, but not much. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked that it didn't get a higher one.
Well, it did win an
award. Catwoman, what does Catwoman have?
A Halle Berry Catwoman?
That's the only one I know about.
That is the only Catwoman movie out there.
Well, this movie did win an award. Adult Video News Awards. AVN Award winner in 1985, Best Softcore Release. Very interesting.
You know, without all the Nazi stuff, it is a decent softcore porn.
I thought that's what it was. I thought that's what it was.
Without all the Nazi and rape stuff.
It was rated X.
So do you think that there was stuff cut out of it? Do you think that this was one of those movies? Because I watched a German movie once, and it took place in a men's prison. And come to find out that it was a porn that had and it was done very artistically, but it was a porn that they had just cut out all the close-up porn shots, like the penetration and stuff. They just, just edited it out.
And then, well, in the day, rated. You didn't really. It was. Movies.
You didn't need penetration for rated X.
Exactly. It transitioned into more XXX territory by the time you started seeing like real penetration shots and stuff.
Yeah, and cum shots and everything.
Right.
Yeah. But it was all you needed was like somebody to be beheaded while they were having sex. Rated X, nope, we're not gonna. It was,
yeah.
Now you got to say it's fucked 50 times, and they'll put a big rated R on it. But
depending on who's saying it. If it's frat boys saying fuck, it's one thing. If it's gang members saying fuck, it's another.
There's still a number of fucks that there is a specific number that you have to say in order to get an R rating now. Back then, you could say it 1,000,000 times and still get a PG rating. But as long as nobody was being beheaded or their titties weren't being cut off, then you were fine.
If you ever want to see how ridiculous the movie rating system is, there's a documentary called "This Movie Has Not Yet Been Rated."
Yeah, I love that movie.
and you think that it's this huge, conglomerate of people who decide what movies get rated, and it's not. It's like a few, small number of people. And I remember one actress, not from this documentary, but I remember an actress saying, if a man kisses a woman's breast, it's rated R. If he shoots her, cuts her breast off, it's rated PG. It's like, violence is so accepted. Sexuality is not. You look on TV now, people get their heads and stuff chopped off on regular primetime shows now.
Yeah.
Where it used to be the most, like horror movies and rated R horror movies where you would see people dismembered and stuff. Now you can just turn on the, what happened on Sleepy Hollow this week? Oh, they, cut off somebody's head, cut somebody's hands off. It's crazy,
But let them show two men kissing and, oh my God, we got to put up a warning.
Right. This episode contains scenes of, of faggotry.
And we can't show body art, guys. We can't show body art either because apparently that's too sexualized.
Is that why they canceled that show?
What?
It didn't get canceled. They just moved it to a really remote station.
Okay, yeah, because it's like on Netflix now, and RuPaul has it's a completely different version of that show.
Yes, I'm not happy. But
once in a while they will do that, challenges on. One of my guilty pleasures is the tattoo show with John Navarro. What's it called? Ink.
Love Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro and Chris Nunez. And Oliver Peck are the hosts. I just want to
marry him.
Which one? Chris Nunez?
No, Dave Navarro.
He's so hot.
Awesome.
And so they do body challenges. Like they'll do challenges, and some of them are body art challenges, and they're awesome. What these people do.
Yeah.
But they are nude. But a lot of the people are nude. I'm surprised that they don't get in more trouble for that. And this when they do some of the tattoos, they do show ass cheek. But
then they still have to have a warning. That's my thing. Like, why we have to have a warning? And it's just, this is art.
Well, who knows?
Because Americans sexualize it, right? Because Americans sexualize the human body regardless to whether sex is happening or not.
Exactly.
So it's not. It's definitely something, and it's something. This is the reason why I love 70s film, because 70s film was so free, and the 60s really opened that up, because there were a lot of 60s films that were very risque, like Barbarella and I'm trying to think of that other one with the men. I can't remember. Anyway, but there were a lot of 60s films and sci-fi films that were really sexual and were really free because of the time, and then the 70s took that and they ran with it. Yeah. So of course by the 80s, ultra violence was way more accepted than sex was.
Yep.
You could kill 45. You could have a body count of 2,000 people in an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, but let them show breast, and you can't take your kids to go see it. But Arnold Schwarzenegger movies were rated PG-13 for the most part. So,
but it evolved. It evolved though, because remember the early 80s. It was the sexual, but as long as it was like teenagers, like getting, like it was like all the camp
teenagers movies killed
in the house. But it was not. It was like the like we reviewed.
That was
Russia. It was like the Halloween and the camp.
Yeah,
but
the whole point that's what I'm saying. Like it was shown that sex is wrong, so you got to die for it. So, whereas before it was in the 70s. In the 70s, sex was power, so they used it in a lot of rape scenes. They did a lot with women who used their sex as power. Whereas by the 80s, sex was wrong, and we're not going to do this anymore. So we're going to just kill you. We're just going to stab you in bed while you're having extramarital sex.
And then in the 90s,
oh God. Yeah.
And in the 90s, like all the women who were sexually powerful had to be villains as well,
like heroin addicts or heroin addicts.
They had to be like ambiguously evil, so like Sharon Stone's characters or characters like Glenn Close's character. Any woman who was sexually powerful was also deranged. You know, it was just like.
Even Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is an example of that. Like, she wasn't just a Catwoman. Like, she had to be sexually, like, she'd be oversexed and kind of crazy for that to work, and sort of asexual, which is what they've done with her in the comics too now. But it's it's really interesting how that has evolved, because now sex is so, everything about sex is taboo now. You can't even kiss too long on TV before they're like, ooh, nope, we timed that kiss. It's only you can only do that for 5 seconds now. You know, it's ridiculous. It's like the 40s. What is happening?
But then everything is sold with sex. But then it's like watching the advertisements for like this new series they had that's based on the Archie comics. and
Riverdale.
They all look so trash. I was like, I don't remember them looking so trashy, being so trashy, you know. But we saw. Well, they probably would have been, but they probably wouldn't all been that, you know.
They would have been real methy. That's how I always saw the Archie comics, is that all of them were basically meth addicts. But
I think Jughead was really the most methy one. Jughead wore the little crown on his head.
He was more of a weed head. He would have been selling some meth. Yeah. I don't know what Moose might have been like alcohol. Meth. Hard. Meth.
You're like, everyone's meth.
Yeah. Everybody meth.
Okay. So we talked about
everybody meth now.
Right.
So we talked about one award, but let's get this flick a few of our own awards. How about that?
Before you go, I just want to. I looked it up. Catwoman got a 3.3.
Alrighty then.
Still too close.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go for the obvious in our awards section here, and I'm gonna ask you all the best use of nudity.
Oh, so many.
There were so many titties.
What was the best use? Was it the very scene?
I want to see somebody whip somebody with their titties out, and that's it. Just whip me with your titties out. That's it. Like, just have your breasts out and whip me. Like, that was the best to me. I thought it was so hilarious.
Oh, when they whipped those people to death?
When they were whipping those women that were they were locked up, and they had those 2 women down in the basement, just sort of whipping them with their breasts out. Like she came out, she was like, "Okay, take your shirts off. Okay, now whip them." Okay.
That was interesting. That was interesting.
I'm into that.
I'm not sure there was a best use. I would either maybe say the first scene, because I was like, wow, they give you something right at the beginning. There were no children.
She was having real sex. Sex. Nobody else was.
Yeah.
Who would you say the ingenue of this movie was?
Probably the girl they burnt up.
Yeah, but she got, I don't know. Maybe Mario. Mario has some moments. Poor Mario. Wow, this is like the best usage of a cheesy special effect.
When dude got his throat cut.
Yeah. The orange blood.
The mouth of blood. When she was being locked. When she was being was that a compressing chamber or something? I didn't get that one. I still don't get it.
What the fuck that was?
I still don't get that.
What was the most disgusting moment?
The rape scene.
Which one?
The rape scenes, plural.
Right.
The group rape scene was definitely the worst, but yeah.
I don't know. The piss bothered me for some reason. Oh. Just
peeing on it. It's a little dark.
I was just you know what, Diddley? I'm gonna say I was just relieved that it was piss. Because at first I was looking at her face I thought it was I thought he was in the scat. I was just like, oh
no, not a scat queen.
I thought he was in the Belgian. What? Well, first first I thought he was gay because she was about to take his top off, but her top off. He was like, "No, not the top. Don't no."
Yeah, right.
And she looked,
Just the breeches. Just the breeches.
Just now put your boots. Just take off your bottoms. Now put your boots back on. And I was like, if I'm gonna die for every time I said that.
How many dimes would you have?
He liked them Timbs, though. He liked the guys with the Timbs.
But yeah, I thought she might have been doing something else, and then I heard the sound. I was relieved. But I will give that the WTF in my watching moment award. All right, so let's rate this film on a scale from 1 to 10 marshmallows. Let's start with you, Deadly.
Well, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I was kind of tripped out. I told you. I usually don't like shit like this, but that the acting, just that it was different. My whole thing is different. It's original. That what you usually don't see that shit. So I'm gonna give it 8.
All right.
I liked it. Good. Who recommended this? Good job.
Damien Nova.
Damien, good job, Damien.
Speaking of Damien Nova, let's see what you rated.
The only reason it doesn't get a 10 for me is because I saw the sequels. And if you ever have your druthers, and I mean this, if you ever have your druthers to find this movie or find any of the other 3 movies, I would suggest watching Ilsa, Harem Keeper of the Oil Sheiks. That is the best one of the series. It is so good. So this one is definitely low grade compared to the other ones. So 6.5 marshmallows on this one. I love it, but it ain't the best out of the series.
Okay, let's go to you, Derek Anthony.
I'm going to give it a 4 because it was made. It was filmed. And they found a good use for the Hogan's Hero set after Hogan's Hero had got canceled.
All right, let's go to Legionnaire. Does this movie stand the test of time?
No. I give it. I was going to score it a 3, simply because it was a creative way to destroy the Hogan's Hero lot.
My brother.
That's what I give it.
I'm sensing that we are not going to have a Vanetta Berry Burnt Stick Award tonight, but we haven't heard from Vanetta Berry herself. So, Vanetta, what did you think?
This movie was bizarre and very... I think we need a warning, Poppy, when we're going to watch movies that are like this much. Like, you told me about the porn. Didn't tell me about this one. Didn't know what to expect. So, I'm going to give it 2 marshmallows. It was... I like the boobs.
2?
That's why they get 2. Because
2 for titties.
But the rapiness of it, and I know you said that's like part of the exploitation part of the 70s, but it was really uncomfortable to look.
So, I'm gonna shave you close, and blood will run, Vanetta.
I was really wanting, like when they were torturing Anna, I wanted her to just be like, this is cool. I like this, and actually get off on it instead of just like gritting. I mean, if they were going to take it to the exploitation point, I was just like, I wanted them to take it further.
Watch the sequels. Watch the sequels.
I'm getting a feeling that I maybe should watch the sequels.
Is that what it is? Is that what you're feeling right now?
So I don't know. Maybe they would get an extra marshmallow for a sequel. But yeah.
I will say this much. Doing the little bit of research that I did, it did make me curious about the sequels.
I think someone wants us to watch the sequels.
I can't imagine.
that being said, I sort of went back and forth with this movie. Like, you know, I couldn't tell whether it was supposed to be funny or scary or spoofy or, you know, I kept trying to look for some kind of, what's the word, commentary, like some kind of, not political commentary, but some kind of deeper meaning. And I was just kind of, no, it's kind of just like a Nazi sex movie with a little girl power theme in there. But I didn't hate it. And it was sort of entertaining. The last half hour, though, I was like, I'm ready for this to be over. So it held my interest enough. I will give it 4.5, just shy of 5. You know, I give it around a 5. I'll give it a 5. So the high score tonight came from Deadly. Deadly gave it an 8. All right. That's it. Any last words?
Yeah, maybe now I'm feeling it's too high.
No.
I'm going with it. I'm going with it. You know what?
You are allowed to love it. We're allowed to love it. Let me tell you why
I think I loved it even more. Is because some other movie I watched today, which maybe we'll be discussing in another show, just really messed my brain up. I did not like it, and so this one I was like, "Ooh, this one's good."
Oh, don't diminish it. You liked it.
Yeah, if you liked it, you liked it. Don't do a Jeffrey R. Rules and be like,
oh,
it was wunderbar.
No me gustan las brujas.
She got cold legs. Her legs are cold.
Your legs are cold. All right, y'all. It's time for everyone to report back to their cabins. Your bunk beds are waiting for you. Join us next time for a brand new installment of Summer Camp. Once again, here's one of our campers on our PA system with a few announcements on how you can interact with us via social media.
Thank you for the intro. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Poppy Chula Radio Summer Camp and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PCR Summer Camp. Follow us on Tumblr, summercamp-pcr.tumblr.com. Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Help support Poppy Chula Radio financially by visiting GoFundMe.com/PoppyChulaRadio. Help support Poppy Chula Radio financially by visiting GoFundMe.com/PoppyChulaRadio. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Now, back to you, camp counselors.
Danka. My fellow camp counselors, please wish our campers and the listeners a good night.
Good night, dear campers.
Good night, campers.
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. As Heidi Klum would say, 1 minute you're in, the next minute you're out.
You're out.
You're out. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Good night and lights out.